Have you ever noticed how often what seemed solid, firm, almost eternal, suddenly crumbles before your eyes? As if life has a silent way of exposing the fragility of everything you believed to be unbreakable. It's at this point that the heart trembles, for it faces a loss that it cannot explain yet feels in every fiber. Illusion has this power. It cloaks itself in reality. It doesn't come shouting. It doesn't announce itself as a deception. It seeps in slowly like a fog that obscures the contours of the path, and when you try to see, you only find distorted shapes. What seemed like love was sometimes just attachment. What appeared to be care was merely disguised control. What looked like a promise was just a desire not to be alone. And God, in his mysterious way, begins to remove, sometimes gently, sometimes forcefully. He pulls away from you what your heart called love, but which never had the essence of being eternal. And that hurts, because the soul grows accustomed to the false shine, and when the true light approaches, it blinds. But there is something greater hidden in this process. God doesn't take anything away to leave you empty. He removes to reveal. He removes to make space. He removes so that perception can awaken, and what is real can finally be seen. Have you realized how loss opens up space for clearer vision? When everything that supported the illusion crumbles, you begin to see nuances that were previously hidden. It's as if every fragment that falls reveals a sliver of light. And the more the illusion shatters, the more the presence of true love becomes apparent. This love has no form of possession. It doesn't bind, does not demand, does not manipulate. It liberates. It leads to silence, to rest, to the feeling that you don't need to prove anything to be accepted. True love does not compete, does not hide, does not change masks. It simply is. And maybe you are exactly at that point, the transition between what has been removed and what is being revealed, the place of emptiness, the space of waiting, the feeling that something has been torn away but has not yet been replaced. And it is in this interval that the heart suffers the most, because it still remembers what it lost, but can't yet grasp what is to come. If this has ever happened to you, comment, "I needed to hear this," because sometimes just recognizing it is enough for the pain to feel lighter. But notice something. The loss was not punishment. The removal was not a consequence. It was a movement of love. God's love for you is so deep that he does not allow you to drown in illusions forever. He cuts, he separates, he exposes, because he knows that true love could not flourish in soil contaminated by lies. And when you look back, even amidst tears, you begin to realize it wasn't you who lost. It was you who was protected. And here begins the quietest process of all, the reconstruction of perspective. Because when God removes, it's not just what was outside that disappears. Something inside you is also stirred. It's as if he had to break old lenses, the ones through which you interpreted the world. And without those lenses, suddenly everything seems blurred. But this blur is not a lack of vision. It's an invitation to learn to see again. Have you noticed how a child looks at something for the first time? Their gaze is not judgmental nor hurried. It's a complete, open, curious gaze. They notice the details that adults no longer see, and perhaps that is what God is restoring in you. A pure, simple perspective capable of recognizing true love without confusing it with imitations. The human heart over time accumulates dust, pain, rejection, fear. Everything covers perception, and what remains are needs disguised as love. Have you noticed how many times you accepted less than you deserved just out of fear of being alone? How many times have you called something love when it was just convenience? How many times have you held a hand that didn't truly want to be there just because you were afraid to let go? This is the point. True love never arises from fear. It is never sustained by the desperate need not to lose something. It arises from an encounter with the divine. Because only when you see yourself loved by God, in such an absolute and unconditional way, do you become able to recognize the reflection of that love in another human being. So, don't be surprised by the emptiness. This silence you feel now is the ground being prepared, and every piece of ground needs to be cleared before it can be cultivated. You are being cleansed. And sometimes that cleansing hurts more than the loss itself, because it stirs up memories, expectations, and memories you insisted on calling love, but which were actually just cries of neediness. True love doesn't shout. It whispers. It doesn't demand. It invites. It doesn't hold you back. It makes space. It doesn't suffocate. It breathes alongside you. And when you find it, you will realize something simple yet revolutionary. True love always brings peace. Maybe that's what you hadn't experienced before. Peace. You confused intensity with love. You confused drama with depth. You confused jealousy with care. And God in His mercy had to strip away those illusions one by one until only the essence remained. And it is exactly then, when you think you are alone, that true love starts to reveal itself. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. It begins within you. The moment you realize you don't need to chase after someone to be whole. The instant you discover that there is a love that never abandons you, never betrays you, never diminishes you. The love of God is the root of all love that truly matters. And when you are rooted in it, you stop accepting crumbs. How many times have you settled for crumbs? How many times did you believe that just a little attention, a few stolen moments or mere remnants of presence were enough? And why did you accept this? Because your soul didn't yet know what true love was. It hadn't learned to recognize it, but now you are learning. Now you realize, now you understand that the absence of peace has always been the clearest sign that it wasn't love. And don't blame yourself for believing. Don't blame yourself for insisting. Don't blame yourself for calling what was nothing more than an illusion love. This is all part of the journey. You needed to go through this to learn the difference. Without the experience of the false, perhaps you wouldn't be able to recognize the true when it arrives. And it will arrive. God doesn't remove to leave a void. He removes to prepare. He uproots to make space. And the space you now feel as pain is the same space where true love will bloom. Have you noticed how painful pruning is for a tree? It loses branches, loses leaves, loses parts that seemed essential. But it's precisely this pruning that allows new fruit to emerge. Without pruning, there is no fruit. Without cutting, there is no growth. And you are being pruned. It hurts, but it also signals what is to come. If this has happened to you, comment below. I've been through this pruning, because sharing your pain can transform into healing for someone else who is also on this journey right now. But I want you to notice something even deeper. True love is not just a future promise. It is already manifesting, even if you don't realize it. In the care you receive unexpectedly. In the strength that arises when you thought you had no energy left to continue. In the silence that gradually turns into peace. God is already revealing this love. And when He decides to reveal it, nothing can stop it. Perhaps you still wonder, why did it take so long? Why did I have to suffer so much to learn? And the answer is simple. Because love is not a theory, it's an experience. It's not enough to hear about it, you have to go through it. It's not enough to simply wish for it. You have to face the emptiness, the pain, the removal. Only then does perception become real. Only then can you look back and understand that nothing was in vain. Now close your eyes for a moment and feel, how many times has God protected you by removing what seemed good, but would ultimately cause you harm? How many times did you complain about a loss, but later realized it was a form of salvation? That's it. The pain of removal is always less than the pain of being stuck to something that could never be true love. And no, God does not make mistakes with timing. He removes at the exact moment when the illusion has fulfilled its role, neither before nor after. And when the removal happens, there's no going back, because what has fallen no longer fits in your story. And the faster you accept it, the sooner you will realize the love that is already approaching. If you feel that this text is speaking directly to you, write in the comments. It makes sense to me. This is not just engagement, it is an act of recognition. And recognition opens the heart to receive even more. So understand, the illusion is falling away, and when the dust settles, what remains will be only what is true. And among all truths, the deepest one is this: you are loved, with a love that needs no masks, no proof, no conditions. A love that does not change over time, does not depend on circumstances, does not weaken with distance. This is the love that God is revealing to you, and when you perceive it in its fullness, nothing will convince you to accept less than that. You may not realize it now, but something inside you has already begun to change. That space which was once filled with illusions is no longer the same. The silence that seemed empty is starting to transform into fertile ground, and it is in this soil that true love will be planted. But before it can flourish, you need to learn to wait. Waiting is never passive, it's not wasted time, it's preparation. It's during the wait that you discover hidden strengths. It's in the wait that you get closer to yourself. And it's in the wait that God works the most. The human mind is in a hurry, But the spiritual heart needs time. Time to detach, time to heal, time to reconfigure perception, because when the illusion falls, it leaves marks. And if those marks aren't dealt with, you risk repeating the same mistake with a different face, another name, another story. That's why God doesn't just remove, He also heals. And healing happens when you finally stop fighting against what has already been taken away. When you accept that what seemed like love wasn't really love, when you decide not to live on distorted memories. And here's an important key. Accepting is not giving up. Accepting is making space for something new. It's telling your heart, I understand, now I let go. And the moment you let go, a weight lifts. The soul breathes, and peace begins to return. Have you noticed how peace has always been the clearest sign that something is true? Peace is not the absence of movement. It's balance amidst movement. And where there is no peace, there can be no love. Because love never generates torment. It generates rest. And perhaps that's exactly what God is teaching you, to recognize peace as the thermometer of love. It's not about intensity. It's not about promises. It's not about pretty words. It's about what your spirit feels when it's in the presence of someone. If there's peace, there's truth. If there's torment, there's deception. But how do you learn this without going through the process? How do you recognize the difference without having lived both sides? That's why even the illusion served a purpose. It wasn't love, but it was a teacher. It didn't bring peace, but it brought learning. And learning is what now opens your eyes to perceive. Perhaps you still wonder, does true love really exist? Is it just a beautiful idea? The answer is, yes, it exists, but it cannot be forced. It cannot be manufactured. It can only be revealed. And it is God who reveals it. True love is a reflection of the divine love that already resides within you. The more you dive into God's love, the more prepared you become to recognize that reflection in another heart. And then the encounter happens, not as an explosion, but as a fit, not like fireworks, but as a steady flame, not as a rush, but as synchronized steps. True love does not impose itself. It offers itself. It doesn't shout. It stays. It does not demand. It embraces. And when you find it, you will realize it doesn't need to be proved at every moment. Because truth doesn't ask for proof. It simply exists. Have you ever imagined living a love like this? A love where you don't have to shrink to fit. A love where you don't have to beg for presence. Say love where you can be whole, vulnerable, authentic, without fear of rejection. This love exists, and God is preparing you to be ready when it comes. But before receiving it, you need to rebuild yourself. And this reconstruction doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, it demands patience, it requires commitment. It needs you to learn to see yourself without the marks of illusion, to recognize that you are worthy of being truly loved. Because sometimes, the biggest barrier isn't the absence of love, but the difficulty in believing you deserve to receive it. And here is a revelation. You are already loved. God has already decided that. There's nothing you can do to increase or decrease that love. It is already absolute. And if He loves you in that way, why do you doubt that you are also deserving of experiencing true human love? The same God who plants eternity in your heart is the one who puts in your path someone capable of reflecting that love in flesh and blood. But remember, the reflection will never be greater than the source. That's why you can't confuse human love with divine love. Human love will be flawed, limited, imperfect. But when it is rooted in God, it becomes a mirror. An imperfect mirror, yes, but still capable of showing the beauty of what comes from above. And perhaps you are exactly at this point right now, learning to differentiate, letting go of what was a copy, waiting for what is the reflection. And in this process, realizing that everything you've lived until now has been preparation. If this resonates with you, comment, I am in preparation. Sometimes declaring this is the first step to accepting that the journey is not over yet. But don't be fooled. True love is not a reward for those who wait well. It is not the result of merit. It is a gift. A gift from a God who knows what your heart needs. A gift from a Father who doesn't want you to live on scraps. And this gift only arrives when you are free from the illusions that would keep you from recognizing it. That's why every tear you've shed, every night you thought you were alone, every moment you felt the weight of absence, none of this was wasted. It was all part of the process. A process of purification, preparation, revelation. And now each day you are moving closer to what is real. And when this love finally manifests, you will look back and understand. You will understand why you needed to lose. You will understand why you needed to wait. You will understand why it seemed like God was silent. In fact, he was never silent. He has always been removing, cleansing, preparing. And when he prepares, nothing can prevent the revelation. True love will not just be about someone arriving. It will be about finally recognizing yourself as worthy, loved, whole. It will be about realizing that you never needed to chase after it, because what is true always finds its way to you. And in that moment, everything will make sense. This journey doesn't end here. In the next video, you will notice even more.